It's manipulative, it's menacing, and it's a masterpiece. Today's song is a grim parable about the abuse of power and the cost of addiction. And it just so happens to be set against one of the heaviest hitting riffs of all time. Written by a band that's praised for their speed and their skill, these guys ruled the 80s underground and beyond. No surprise then that this, their signature song, has made a pop culture comeback recently. Featured in one of the most epic scenes in modern media history. I promise you won't forget this haunting tale coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember the magic of your very first concert, including that waiting for the encore, you're going to dig this channel. Make sure that you subscribe below right now by clicking the red button. Click the bell so you always know when we have something coming out. So it's time for another edition of our series, The New Standards. This is a show that takes an in-depth look at songs that really set the bar in rock history. Doesn't matter what decade, genre, or musical movement that they might have come out of. These songs have become monumental touchstones in our lives. And today, we're traveling back to the 80s to cover one of the greatest metal masterpieces of all time, Master of Puppets by Metallica. One of the most innovative and talented metal bands of the 80s and 90s and beyond, Metallica formed in California back in 1981 after drummers Lars Ulrich and guitarist and vocalist James Hetfield. They each advertised in the local classifieds. Together, they recorded their first demo, No Life Till Leather, with guitarist Lloyd Grand, who was then replaced by future Megadeth frontman David Mustaine. Guitarist Jeff Warner and bassist Ron McGovney, they also had brief tenures with the band. At the end of 1982, Cliff Burton took over bass, and Kirk Hammett replaced Mustaine in 1983, of course. The Ulrich, Hetfield, Burton, and Hammett lineup would become the standard for most of the 80s, producing three of Metallica's most iconic albums, Kill 'Em All in 83, Ride the Lightning in 84, and Master of Puppets in 1986. The trio of records would forge an epic moment in heavy metal history and really lead thrash from out of the underground into the mainstream. Among them, Master of Puppets is the clear-cut leader and is praised by many as the most definitive and influential thrash metal album of all time. Master of Puppets was written nearly a year prior to its release between May and June of 1985, although according to Lars, the material had been kicking around since the year before on the band's riff tapes. It really wasn't any different this time than before, he said. It basically being me and James sitting down with a bunch of tapes and sorting through the details of his ideas and Kirk's ideas. Cliff, now a few years in as a band member, he also started bringing his ideas to the table, which included a lot of harmonies and different melodies. And though it would take Lars and James some time to open up to Cliff's suggestion, ultimately they were willing to experiment, and their efforts really paid off. After recording the album at Denmark's Sweet Silence Studios, Master of Puppets dropped like a bomb on the 80s. Even faster and more savage than its predecessors, it is a completely uncompromising record, and one that would become the gateway for millions of fans to enter the fold. The tone of Master of Puppets is seriously intense and steeped in rage. Members of Metallica were young, and they were angry, and they channeled their aggression through their music. In 1986, James Hetfield said, "There's a lot of ugly things out there, and no matter how much you try and escape, you will always have to wake up and face the fact that the world is, messed up." He said another word, it's a family channel, messed up and ugly. Master of Puppets immerses you into the thick of that place, and as you progress through the tracks, you can feel the grinding forces of corruption bearing down on you. The band would describe the album's primary theme as manipulation, a concept duly showcased on the famed album cover, where you see a puppet master pulling strings attached to masses of graveyard crosses. It's one of the most iconic album covers ever. I remember the first time I saw it, it scared the hell out of me. Said Lars, we thought Master of Puppets would make a strong album title, so we decided to use it. Plus, what's cool about it is that it's not too direct. People can look at it in a lot of different ways, whether it be a bit sarcastic or a bit humorous or a bit serious or what have you. Subjects addressed on the record range from personal tragedy to systematic oppression, mental health issues, drug addiction, mass incarceration, institutional religion, and the military-industrial complex that all contribute to the villainy. It was released on March 3rd, 1986. Master of Puppets stands as an unwavering testament to Metallica's superior musicianship, their power, and their speed. Entering the Billboard charts at, I believe, number 128, it would eventually climb to number 29, which, mind you, that was unprecedented for such a heavy album at that time, almost immediately. Master of Puppets went gold in the US. It later certified 6 times platinum in 2003. In 2016, the album was inducted into the Library of Congress National Recording Registry, becoming the first heavy metal album chosen for preservation deemed culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant in the process. No one would have ever believed that would happen back in the 80s. So just as you could argue Master of Puppets is the definitive Metallica record, you could make the same claim that Master of Puppets is the definitive Metallica song. I mean, there may be others that are more famous, particularly off of 1991's Black Album. But Master of Puppets is the apex of the band's artistry. It was written by all 4 band members. It is an enthralling 4-movement epic that twists and writhes for more than 8 furious riff-filled minutes. I want to take a quick second and recognize our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear, the glasses I always wear. Right now, if you go to Zenni.com, they've always got deals going on. You can get a pair of glasses, choose the shape, the color, the size, any style, and it starts at $6.95. That's pretty amazing, especially in the times we live in. We really need it. Check it out at Zenni.com today. Master of Puppets is a complex track of awesome power and next-level guitar work. So grand in scope, it could have easily ended on a ferocious fade-out after 3.5 minutes and still be considered a classic. But at that point, Metallica is only getting started. The song's cutting riff momentarily fades to black so that James and Kirk descend into an all-out Guitar Hero melodrama. First, Hetfield breaks into a slow instrumental section. But then the band, they rev it up again, and Hammett launches into a sonically insane, fast and power-pounding solo of his own. From start to finish, Master of Puppets, just a metal masterpiece. A straight-up bravado of cascading guitars. But Metallica's genius on this song isn't just limited to the music alone. I mean, the lyrics, they are poignant, telling a menacing tale that results in a personal oblivion. Maybe from a large-scale perspective, it can be read as a desperate cry for sanity in an unforgiving world. But describing his own interpretation of the song, James Hetfield said, it is about the warped relationship between a drug and its junkie. Here, the substance is the callous master, and the addict is the powerless puppet. James Hetfield said, Master of Puppets deals pretty much with drugs, how things get switched around. Instead of you controlling what you're taking and doing, it's drugs controlling you. Now, this was the first time Metallica had written an anti-drug song, and it's not 100% clear what made James Hetfield delve into the subject. There isn't any evidence that the Master of Puppets era bandmates were embroiled in any serious substance abuse aside from the typical backstage party antics. But as a touring rock band, there's no way to steer clear from the influence of drugs. I mean, it's inevitable that Metallica would have rubbed shoulders with associates or people who were deep in the throes of heroin and cocaine addiction, especially in the 80s. Examining the words from Master of Puppets, it's clear that the lyrics are not only an expert exercise in observing junkie behavior, they're also a stroke of songcraft genius, speaking from the perspective of the drug itself. The drug personified with its own malicious motives is on a mission to mess this user up. End of passion play, crumbling away, I'm your source of self-destruction. Veins that pump with fear, sucking dark is clear, leading on your death's construction. And true to reality, the chorus of the song strips the addict naked of his agency, transforming him into a slave, a ragdoll to be tossed at the whims of his master. Come crawling faster, obey your master, your life burns faster, obey your master. Powerful lyrics. Master of Puppets, I'm pulling your strings, twisting your mind and smashing your dreams. It is grim, it is agonizing, and clearly messed up. But the song is not lying. If you get that deep into drug abuse, of course, it's a very hard road back. Hetfield employs a lot of clever imagery and wordplay throughout the song to drive this message home. Needlework the way. Ritual misery, never-ending maze, chop your breakfast on a mirror. I mean, it's dark and sinister poetry for sure, but as you follow along, the harrowing truth is spelled out. The drug-infused dreams and the escape that the junkie has sought turned out to be lies. That line, Master, Master, where's the dreams that I've been after? Master, Master, you promised only lies, and the drug has been pulling the strings the whole time. Master, promised only lies. In a chilling and sadistic response, the master laughs without mercy at the victim's cries. Laughing at my cries. Then reveals its true purpose, to rule and destroy the user completely. I will occupy, I will help you die, I will run through you, now I rule you too. James Hetfield couldn't have written a more perfect moral tragedy had he tried. And all things considered, it is genuinely difficult to overstate the full-on brilliance of this song. Master of Puppets is indisputably one of the greatest metal masterpieces ever put to record. Its impact and that of the namesake album would not only make a massive mark on the music scene in 1986, but for years and years to come, solidifying Metallica as the greatest metal band of its generation. For the better part of 4 decades, Master of Puppets has been covered by top-tier talent and wannabes alike. I mean, just to name a few, Nickelback, Primus, Sum 41, Limp Bizkit, Dream Theater. Love Dream Theater. We got to cover them on here. Master Puppets, I'm pulling your strings. They've all taken a stab. Master of Puppets, it's also appeared in multiple movies and TV shows. There was Old School in 2003.
The old man River won't shut up about it. Go time!
Simpsons in 2006.
Never listen to our music again.
The Big Short in 2015. American Dad in 2016. And Billions that same year.
Master, just call my name. Been in there for 7 hours.
And then, of course, the song was played in the Stranger Things Season 4 finale, one of the most pivotal scenes in the entire show up to date. I mean, it's a masterful placement that perfectly enhances the drama and the action. So big time spoiler alert here. If you haven't seen it yet, you don't want to hear this, you need to stop watching right now. At the close of Season 4, the Hawkins heroes are sneaking into the Upside Down to put an end to the villain Vecna, once and for all. But since his lair is heavily guarded by a vicious swarm of demo-bats, if you will, they're going to need a distraction. Metalhead Eddie Munson and his Hellfire sidekick Dustin volunteered to be the bait. And their plan? To full-on rock the Upside Down.
Are you ready for the most metal concert in the history of the world?
Are you ready for the most metal concert in the history of the world? And we're all thinking, yeah, we are. But I don't think anyone was ready for Eddie the Axeman to start shredding Metallica's Master of Puppets. I mean, the scene is so incredible.
This is from you.
In the scene, Eddie literally embodies the term guitar hero, taking the concept to a whole new level. And not only does he capture the Demo Bat's full attention, but he has all of us fixated on the scene as well. It's an epic shred fest in the Upside Down that no one is going to forget ever. According to the show's music supervisor, Nora Felder, there was never a plan B. Master of Puppets was always going to be the song from the very start. No other song was discussed further, said Felder, and we jumped in to clear it straight away. Not surprisingly, when the guys from Metallica saw this sequence, they were in awe, just like the rest of us. They said, we were beyond psyched for them to not only include Master of Puppets in the show, but to have such a pivotal scene built around it. We were all stoked to see the final result, and when we did, we were just totally blown away. It's an incredible honor to be such a big part of Eddie's journey. I think Eddie was named after Eddie from Iron Maiden. That's my opinion. Eddie Munson is no doubt my favorite character from the series ever. I could do an entire episode on Eddie Munson and what I believe is his metal mixtape, that what songs would be on it. I know exactly how he feels, as do many of you watching, because we've been in his shoes. Talked about this before. Growing up in the satanic panic of the 80s, where as an outcast you were really judged harshly because of how you dressed, as well as the music you listened to, the games you played, Dungeons and Dragons. Bullied because you were a freak, a geek, or anything in between. Eddie represents our ilk very well, and no song conveyed that better than Master of Puppets. It was the perfect song for that moment. Predictably, just like Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill to Deal with God, that actually went into the charts again, and so did Master of Puppets. It started burning up the charts 36 years after it came out. It's introduced the song to a whole new generation in the process. It's turned Generation Z into metalheads literally overnight. But unfortunately, as always seems to be the case, there's been some backlash over Master of Puppets being used in this particular scene in pop culture. I mean, one of the biggest shows ever. And some seriously elitist attitudes have come out of the woodwork from there. A lot of Metallica fans, older ones, trolls, ragging on the newcomers for just now discovering this 80s metal classic. Not that this is a problem unique to Metallica listeners. I mean, there's been a long-standing pattern throughout rock history that pits early adopters, or true fans, if you will, against newbies who like a song after it becomes popular in a TV show or a movie. As when and how you discover a song should be the criteria for judging whether someone should be allowed to listen to it. Lest we forget that we were all in that boat at one point or another. I mean, sure, you got to give the original fans some credit. Good for them for supporting the band all these years, supporting them even before the music got big. But let's be honest here. That doesn't make you better than anyone else. That just makes you lucky to have been at the right place at the right time to hear the music. I mean, seriously, few bands want to live forever in a secret clubhouse where only the so-called real fans hang out. Music is art, to me. It's catharsis, it's connection. It's about reaching all types of people. So shaming someone for coming late to the party or for discovering a song through mainstream channels, that's just kind of stupid. So if it's a good song, you should be stoked to share it with the rest of the world, to be able to give that gift of music. I mean, hey, even Metallica backs this up. On TikTok, they posted the following comment. FYI, everyone is a welcome in the Metallica family. Whether you've been a fan for 40 hours or for 40 years, we all share a bond through music. All of you started at ground zero at one point in time. I gotta tell you, I love that. It's exactly how I feel. I mean, I've taken a lot of flack from some big-time YouTubers because I'm not an expert in music theory, suggesting that I shouldn't have a voice because of that. My hero, Casey Kasem, he wasn't an expert in music theory, nor was my dad who introduced me to all of these songs. Music is the great connector. It's the universal language. What matters is not how or when you showed up, but the fact that you showed up at all. Music is for everybody, for people of all walks of life, for rock rookies and veterans alike. It knows no bounds. When I was watching Stranger Things with my two sons, 11 and 13, both boys, and watching the excitement in their eyes when Eddie Munson was shredding to Master of Puppets. And then they both turned to me at the same time and they said, Dad, what is this song? I proudly told them it's Metallica, Master of Puppets. And, they immediately searched for it and they added it to their playlists and they've been listening to it since. I was absolutely elated. I gotta admit, there may have been some water in my eye. Leave us a comment about Metallica and Master of Puppets. What do you think about this song? Is it Metallica's best offering? Is it the definitive song of thrash metal? What did you think about Stranger Things and how it was used, and about Eddie Munson? Should I do an episode on Eddie Munson, Eddie Munson's Ultimate Playlist? That'd be cool. Let us know in the comments. Also, what do you think, about the discussion about newcomers versus veterans of certain bands? Anyway, let me know. Make sure to subscribe if you like this video. We'd love to have you in our community. And make sure to check us out on Patreon. That's the best way for us to keep things going here. And until next time, to records and the truth, my friends.